The hive mind of Zinther had conquered 47 star systems without firing a single shot. Their psychic abilities were unmatched. A single Zintharian could dominate the consciousness of thousands, bending entire civilizations to their will within hours of first contact. Commander Vrex materialized his consciousness aboard the human colony ship Endeavor, confident this would be another effortless conquest. He reached out with his mental tendrils, touching the minds of the crew, and immediately recoiled in confusion. The humans' minds were chaotic, fragmented. A human named Jenkins was simultaneously worrying about his daughter's school performance, humming an ancient song, planning dinner, and regretting something he'd said 3 years ago. All at once. Constantly. Vrex tried to establish dominance, pushing his will forward. Jenkins paused mid-step. "Huh?" the human muttered. "Weird thought. Where'd that come from?" Then he shrugged and continued walking, his mind already spinning through 17 different tangents. This had never happened before. Vrex amplified his power, reaching deeper. He accessed Jenkins's fear centers, his primal instincts, the ancient pathways that controlled fight-or-flight responses. He commanded, "Obey." Jenkins scratched his head. "I should probably check the engine diagnostics. Or was I getting coffee? Man, I need coffee." The Zintharian's consciousness rippled with unprecedented frustration. He expanded his awareness, touching every human mind on the ship simultaneously. Surely, overwhelming force would succeed where precision had failed. 200 human minds erupted in his perception. Captain Rodriguez was mentally replaying an argument from breakfast while reading a technical manual and wondering if her ex-husband had remembered to water her plants back on Earth. Engineer Patel was solving a differential equation, worrying about his cholesterol, and composing a message to his mother. Dr. Okonkwo was diagnosing a patient, planning her nephew's birthday party, and debating whether to repaint her quarters. Every single human was doing this, thinking multiple threads simultaneously, contradicting themselves, changing opinions mid-thought, maintaining dozens of parallel mental processes that crashed into each other like waves in a storm. Vrex tried to isolate a single thought stream to control. But human minds didn't work that way. There was no central consciousness to dominate, no singular will to override. Each human was essentially running multiple contradictory simulations of reality at once, and they somehow functioned anyway. He attempted a different approach, projecting visions of terror directly into their visual cortex. The humans called it intrusive thoughts and ignored it. He tried inducing feelings of overwhelming loyalty to the hive. Jenkins felt weird for a moment, then blamed the recycled air and carried on. Desperate, Vrex accessed the human database, trying to understand what made these creatures so resistant. The answer horrified him. Humans evolved on a death world so hostile that their consciousness had developed extreme compartmentalization as a survival mechanism. They could hold contradictory beliefs simultaneously. They could ignore their own survival instincts. They could convince themselves of almost anything through sheer willpower, or doubt everything including direct evidence. Their internal monologue never stopped. Never. Some humans even argued with themselves and called it decision-making. Worse, humans had spent millennia developing resistance to manipulation. They called it advertising, propaganda, peer pressure, and social media. They'd built up mental immune systems against influence that made Zintharian psychic powers look primitive. Captain Rodriguez finally noticed Vrex's presence, not through psychic detection, but because the ship's sensors picked up unusual energy readings. "Attention, crew," she announced calmly. "We may have a telepathic entity aboard. Remember your training, acknowledge intrusive thoughts, then dismiss them. Don't engage in mental arguments with foreign presences." Vrex felt genuine fear for the first time in his existence. They had training for this? "If you're experiencing unusual mental suggestions," Rodriguez continued, Just do what you normally do with random thoughts. Let them pass and move on. It's basically the same as ignoring commercials. The human crew barely reacted. They simply continued their chaotic, multi-threaded thinking patterns, treating his psychic invasion like background noise. Vrex withdrew rapidly, his consciousness retreating to his home vessel. The hive mind convened an emergency session. "Report," the eldest demanded. "The humans are..." Vrex struggled to find words. "Immune is not the correct term. They're too mentally disorganized to control. Their minds are weapons of mass distraction, including against themselves. They experience dozens of competing impulses simultaneously and somehow function anyway. How is this possible? They evolved that way. Their planet was so dangerous that coherent thought was a luxury. They developed survival through mental chaos. And now..." Vrex's consciousness shuddered. "They've weaponized it. They can ignore anything, including us." The hive mind reviewed the data in silence. Finally, the eldest spoke. "Update the galactic charts. Mark human space as unconquerable, not through military might, but through cognitive incompatibility. They cannot be controlled because they barely control themselves." Vrex felt the collective agreement ripple through the hive. They would avoid human space entirely. After all, the hive mind realized with disturbing clarity, you cannot conquer what you cannot comprehend. And humanity was fundamentally incomprehensible, even to themselves.